Hey guys, welcome to the Beet Goes On Podcast. Today's episode is from an interview that I did on the Dr.Morgan podcast called Let's Get Vulnerable. She was also one of my coaches and now she's my friend. So just follow her. She's on Instagram and Facebook. She's Dr. Morgan Coaching. Her book is called Love Magnet and she's wonderful. So I hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast with me, your host, Dr. Morgan Anderson, clinical psychologist, relationship coach, love expert, creator of the E.S.L relationship method, and athletic wear connoisseur. My mission is to help you raise your self-worth, have great relationships, and step confidently into the next level of your life. Each week, 2 episodes will air featuring expert advice, live coaching, and tips showing you exactly how to improve your life and attract great relationships. You deserve to feel empowered, secure, and loved. So buckle up and let's get vulnerable. Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. We have a graduate of the Empowered Secure Love program. She's an incredible human, someone I'm so lucky that I've gotten to know. Welcome, Michelle, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here. I feel like I've known you forever already, just because of the podcast and the book and the program.
I love it. I am so excited to talk with you today. I know that people are really going to benefit from your story. I do just want to share a little bit about you so the audience gets to know you. So here's a quick bio on Michelle. Michelle Peth is a successful business owner. She's becoming a motivational speaker, hoping to truly set the standard for inspiring female entrepreneurs to create the life of their dreams. She is now the host of the Beet Goes On podcast, spelled B-E-E-T. And Beettan has grown to encompass nearly 200 other women using their all-natural products to create their own businesses. She may be the founder and creator of Beettan Sunless, but that is truly just the beginning of Michelle's aspirations for encouraging and uplifting other women in all industries and walks of life. If you're looking for business coaching, day-to-day encouragement, or the perfect tan, Michelle is your girl. I love it. Welcome, Michelle. So happy to have you.
Yeah, I love hearing that. That was my right-hand woman who was like, let me handle this bio.
It's a wonderful bio. And and I hope if you're listening to the audio, you can also go on YouTube and you can see Michelle and I talking on YouTube. We are going to put this there. And I'm just so excited to have this time with you today and just hear about your journey and the changes you made inside of the E.S.L program. I think one of the things that I never take for granted is getting to witness transformation. And when I think about your journey from the first time I met with you to the next time I met with you, it was one of those visual, energetic transformations that I could just feel of, wow, this woman has changed her life. She has so much lightness and love and positivity. So yeah, I just think your story is really inspiring and
thank you.
Excited to talk with you.
I'm so excited to share with everyone, and I hope it helps someone.
Yeah. And I know you're vulnerable, so I really appreciate that. Let's just start with what was life like before the program? Feel free to share whatever feels comfortable for you of your past before really doing healing work.
Right. Before the program, I had many short-lived relationships. I say short-lived, like 2-year relationships. And I really was trying to find, I didn't realize it until now, that I was trying to find validation, or I was trying to find myself in others. Like they were, whether it was a friend or a relationship with a man, whatever the case may be, I wanted the acceptance of others. And a man was really at the top of that list. And I would ignore red flags because not only did I care about the man, I cared about what others thought about the relationship. It was a very dangerous place to be in. But prior to the program, I had it in me. Like I wanted to go there and dig and figure out why am I reacting this way? Why is this every relationship a roller coaster? Like, why is this happening? And I wanted to dig always. And prior to the program, I went back and read my journals prior to it. It was there. The self-awareness was there. It was there, but the program really gave me the path to successfully getting to the place where I could deal and I'd say like press through. And I really did come out on the other side, which is why you say the energy changed. And the program just that structure helped me to realize what's a secure relationship or what a secure person I could be myself. Like take everyone else out of it is what I needed to learn, and how to tap into the secure person I actually am. It's not like I could be, it was always in there. And when I went back and read old journals, I realized it was always there. I just had to really tap in and dig.
That's such a beautiful share. And I think that point that everybody can realize is that version is already within you. That's securely attached. You know, you're enough, you know, your worth, that's already there. But there's just so many BS beliefs that we get, or, you know, the barriers or past experiences, trauma, and it creates all these blocks, right? Of us being able to show up that way. So I feel like what you're talking about is this idea of coming home to your true self and coming home to your securely attached self.
Right. And doing the work. Like I thought I was doing work prior. So and I think if anyone out there can resonate with this, I sat down, I was doing the work, I was doing the meditation, I was doing the journaling, I was doing the reading. And then the actions were halfway there. But in my head, I was like, I'm doing this, you know, I'd get either there was a lot that went into it. Shame. If I made a mistake, I did not give myself grace. And I was doing the work, but not the actions with the work. And that there's a huge difference. And
absolutely.
And your program kind of like, or not kind of, it was more accountability.
Yeah.
Like
I love that. And you know, when I was making this program, the thing that I thought of is I want to give people exactly what they need in the exact sequence that they need in order to heal and move through things, and no fluff, like nothing you don't need, just like, this is what you need to do. This is the order in which you need to do it. So I love that you felt that it was like, okay, this is the guided sequence.
And I love the tough love days on Dr. Morgan podcast. Those days it's kind of crazy how life is, and it shows up when I need it.
I love that.
That podcast will come through and I'm like, oh yeah, I did that in the program, but there's my reminder. There's, you know, like I said, the accountability. I think what I'm trying to say is you just have to show up for yourself every day. And it's not like a one and done. It's a practice. And then it becomes what I found through the program and in life and in everything is I think the program kind of opened that up for me, the pathway. And I'm just running down the path now. There's no looking back for me. And if I could compare it, it's like a path that you're going on, but you're digging your way in a spoon. Like there is no sudden opening. You've got to go in and do the work. And at one point I came so far. So if you can imagine digging a tunnel with a spoon, at one point I'd gotten so far, and it's hard work, you know, because imagine digging a tunnel with a spoon, but there's no way I was turning back because I'd already done this much work. So I just woke up every day and went through the trenches and and dealt with the childhood stuff and really just hardcore went into it. And it really did open up and became more clear and the tough stuff. And you would say that. You would say, this is going to be tough. And I went in and did the tough stuff a few times because there are different traumas in my life. And I went in and did it again and again. And that path, you could see the light. I mean, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and there's no freaking way I'm going backwards. So I hope that was a good analogy.
No, I love it. I love it.
That's kind of how I felt. As a businesswoman, I learned in business, you have to put in the work, but I wasn't putting in the work for myself.
Totally. I love that you talked about that. Yeah, it is work and that you have to show up for it. And I think what happens is when you do revisit the past and look at those old wounds, of course it's painful, but then getting on the other side of that, I think the work does become easier when you release the heaviness of the past. And there's a lot of self-help out there that actually doesn't address old wounds. And I think that's one of the things that makes this program different is we actually do really make you look at the past and look at the wounds so that you can heal them and let them go.
And it's hard to see that is actually healing to just full-fledged face it, but it absolutely is. And it is the most empowering thing I've ever done. And I had things come up that I didn't even know were in my subconscious through this work, and silly stuff. I'll just shoot this out there. My very first boyfriend was in, that's the important one for everyone. Very first long term, it was a year. It was 8th grade into 9th grade. Small school, small stuff. Small, everyone knew everyone, that kind of environment. And my mom went through a divorce. My dad passed when I was a kid. My stepdad was not the nicest. So I was getting kind of ignored at home, but this boy he was at my church and it was all cool. And it was a whole year we dated. And then we went into 9th grade and he walks in after homeroom. We would always meet and walk to first period together, first class. And he said, my dad's making us break up. He says that your mom is trouble. And he said something along those lines. I don't remember the exact, because it was in my subconscious, it literally came up through journaling and meditation. And so I not only was broken up with, I was rejected by the family of the guy, the boy, and then had to go to church and not sit on the pew with him, and then go to school. And then he started seeing my friend on my softball team. So that was so much rejection. And I felt not good enough. I felt not good enough for many ways. I felt like my home life wasn't good enough. I felt and I even went to and this came up, then I completely forgot. I even called the dad of the boyfriend and said, I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not bad. I called the dad, and he was so cold and dismissed me and was not a kind adult to a 9th grader.
And I think that's such a beautiful example of those subconscious experiences that can get ingrained, and then it forms beliefs about yourself. And then those beliefs shape your behavior and who you're attracted to and all the things. So what a great example.
I dismissed that relationship. I was my boyfriend, his nickname was Mary Tyler Moore. We had jokes about him, but now it's wow, that really did affect me, but I blocked it. I blocked it. And so this work that I'm doing is digging up this stuff, and it really has made me feel more free. So I encourage anyone to dig deep. And if you think you've got it all, honey, you don't. There's more in there to dig up. I know it's daily work.
I love it so much. I love it. And one thing I'm curious about, because I always love to know this, is was there a certain exercise or something that we did in the program? Like where would you say like the biggest breakthrough
The
came for
morning
you?
alignment was very good for me because as a company owner, always feel like I'm behind. And I know that, and then my sister has 6 kids, so well, that's another podcast, but she wakes up and goes. And I noticed it when I was staying with her in Ohio. I was like, she has no time for herself. And then I went on a trip and I came back and I signed up for the program. And the reason I say that is I noticed that I also I was telling my sister she has no time for herself. She needs to make time in the morning. And then I signed up for your program. It was like morning alignment. I just told my sister and I was like, I am so guilty of not eating breakfast, not taking care of myself in the morning. So the morning alignment really resonated with me because I have a million trillion things going on and I'll wake up and forget about me. So I'm starting my day off, not for me, after telling my sister not to do that.
Isn't it so funny? We can tell the people in our lives and then it's like, oh, wait, I need to do this too.
Right.
But I love hearing that. And, we love this practice because it's that alignment with your highest and best self. And it is that gift to yourself first thing in the morning of, hey, this is who I am, like connecting to your true identity. And that's hugely powerful as a mother, as a partner, and as a business owner. Like
exactly.
Identity is everything. So you must have had fun with that then, creating yours.
I did. And I have it beside me and the chair beside me because it is so fun. I did it the first time on 2/20 this year, right after, and I signed up on Valentine's Day. I was like, I'm doing this for myself. And it's so powerful to go back and read it. And I really encourage everyone to journal, even if you think I've been there where I thought what I was writing down was just blah, blah. And then went back and read it and it really meant something later on. So I really encourage people to write down any emotion, even if it's kind of silly, like write it down because it's fun to go back and really learn yourself 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months, like go way back a year ago. It's a map of your growth and you can go back and for me, when I went way back, even before I signed up the program, that's why I started off by saying it was always there. It wasn't loud enough yet. And you made it, this program made it louder and louder and louder. And now I can't stop loving myself and caring for myself. And I know the program, initially I signed up for the program because of a terrible breakup, which I didn't get into yet, but it was terrible. And I was anxiously attached 100%. And I just was it was confusing. All caps, letters, confusing. And that is not okay. Nothing should be confusing. And so I signed up because I thought the program would help things become less confusing, whether I needed to get out or stay in or whatever. I thought it would. And what it did do was brought me closer to myself. And where I initially thought it would make the relationship better or whatever, what it did was maybe my relationship with myself better. And I encourage any woman out there to just take a step back. If you find yourself lost or stuck, take a step back and just love yourself and do that work. Cry, do it all. Do it all. Love yourself through it. Eat well, exercise more. Just give yourself a challenge. Start with 5 days, then 10 days, then 20 days, and wake up and do the work and write it down and go back and look at it. That man's going to fade far, far, far away, like a balloon that you set off in the sky.
I was curious about that. So, I think we can tend to be like, okay, I'm going to get the man and that's why I'm going to do the work. But then obviously you get into it and you talk about, hey, you're healing the relationship with you. So what did that do for you in terms of your dating life? Like, how did you see that situation after healing the relationship with yourself?
It really changed a lot. I'd say that is the biggest shift for me is there was no longer a partner by my side as the motive. The motive was me. And I know it sounds cliche, and I heard it. I'm telling every woman out there, I heard it a million times. Like, you put yourself first. If you love yourself, then you can find love. Like, when
it's one of those things, you hear it intellectually, but then to actually emotionally embody it, entirely different story, right?
Exactly. And a mother of a 21-year-old, I had him very young. Like I said, I turned 40 tomorrow. But I had a kid young, and because of my dad passing, I helped my mother with my sister. And then when I had a child, the second time I was ever sexually active, holy moly. So like, I don't know why I said that, but I went from caring for my sister and helping with that to quickly becoming a mother very early on emotionally, like no emotional maturity, in my opinion, especially sexually and with a man. So that's why I said that. So I went to being pregnant. He started dating my neighbor while I was pregnant. It was so crazy. But I went, all of this, like, I'm telling you, life was like a tornado for me, for most of my childhood. It was that nothing was stable. Everything was confusing, which I think is how it led up to me always being in confusing relationships, because that was the norm for me. So what this whole thing did was I finally, and I'm sitting in my house right now, I finally was alone and I didn't know what the heck to do. And I really, through this program, this sounds so cheesy, but fell in love with myself and being alone with myself. And I did the work, and I dug up and dredged up the crap and dealt with it. And I'm telling you, I've never felt more free. And I don't really want, like, I'm not in a position where I'm like, I'm actually proud of myself, because I'm in a position where I've been asked out. I've tried. I took one of the dates. I tried online dating. I tried the apps. I'm just not ready, but I tried it, and I did I was curious, and I dang sure tried to make friends to say the least. But I'm really proud of where I am with myself. So I don't know if I'm ready for anyone to disrupt that. So what a beautiful place to be, where you're happy alone and secure and confident alone. And then whoever I'm attracted to next is going to be in alignment, which is what you learn through the program. And there's a million once you're tapped in, and there's no one else out there. That the people that are tapped in, you start attracting them, and then everyone's in alignment with what you think. My friendships changed, or my friends' minds changed. I didn't have to necessarily cut that many people off, but there's a real truth to that energy that evolves when you evolve. Sorry, I went off on a
No, I love it. It's so beautiful. And I love that we can talk about how sometimes in our healing journey, the beautiful result can be being good, being alone. And what I love about it is that you clearly have new standards and this, I always talk about clear the relationship space in your life so that the right person can come in that really meets your standards and matches
Get excited
you
about it and be patient.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I know it's already on its way to you. And now you're operating in the energy level and the securely attached way of course, you're going to attract it and you're going to welcome it in, and you won't push it away when it comes to you.
And one of my things that I have right here, a part of my morning alignment, it says, I choose to feed the queen. And that is the secure, so if anyone knows me, I'm funny. Like, I like to be silly, my go-to. But so that's just why I wake up and say, I choose to feed the queen. Because this is heavy work. So having some silly thing is very important for me. And feeding the queen means I'm not want to be the secure, attached person and be a queen sitting on a throne. You imagine she's not on a roller coaster. She's not letting anyone come close to her that is going to take her. It's going to be confusing. I'm telling you, that's like the word of the year for me is confusing. Clear communication is my standard.
Your standards are totally different. I love that so much. Yeah. And I think just that energy of, hey, I know I'm going to take care of myself first, and I'm only going to allow people in who want to be clear, who want to be consistent, who want to also take care of themselves. Exactly. So that you're not caretaking for people, right? Like that's a huge one too. But I totally see the shift in your life. Can you tell me about how it impacted your family life too? Because I think sometimes I don't talk about that enough on the podcast. So tell me about that.
So I never expected that. That would kind of was a creepy creeper that crept in. Sound like a Dr. Seuss book. That crept in during this work that I was doing. I have a weird relationship with religion. I've mentioned that while pregnant, weird stuff happened with my son's father. Again, we were 18 guys, so immaturity was there. And I married very quickly because my family is super religious. I wanted to, which is also why I want acceptance of others always. I now know this by doing all of this work. I wanted the church to accept me after becoming pregnant at 18 out of wedlock. And when his dad, it took his dad's in his life now, but it took him longer to grow up. I quickly felt like I needed a family dynamic. Like I needed and because my dad passed, I quickly tried to fill that role for my kid and for myself. I wanted to be good enough in the church's eyes. Let me mention my grandfather was the pastor. So I'm the preacher's granddaughter. I'm the oldest grandchild, so I was pretty much his daughter. So I was pretty much, I was the church family. I was the pastor's granddaughter. And so I married someone very quickly who ended up being on drugs. He played the part and he was a snake in the grass. He just was charming, had his own issues, and I was raising him too. I was paying all the bills. I was trying to be a good mom. I was trying to be who the church thought I should be. And I was very stressed out. And when I would come to the church about it, I was asked to pray for him. The man in the church environment that I was in, it's God, the husband, and then yourself. So that is how I was raised, that the man is before me. So I read a book. I'm not going to say the book, but I've read the book because I'm not ever going to bash anyone, but the book was not helpful for me. I prayed until that book was falling apart. There were specific prayers for your husband in there. And I was getting physically, and more than that, the words hurt. It's almost, the words hurt sometimes just as much as or even more, because they stick around in your brain forever. And I just was praying, and there was this false hope that that man needed to learn how to change for himself. So I was just praying and praying and praying. And then finally I called my papa. It didn't take me that long. It took long enough. It was 6 months. I called Papa and said, I've read these prayers a million times. I'm hurt. I'm broken. Get me out of this. And my papa, the pastor, is actually the one that came and picked me up and got out of it. But there was a lot of shame with it, because then it was like, oh, there's Michelle. More, another traumatic issue in the church, and everyone had these so-called white picket lives, like lives that were mom, the dad, the kids. So I just stayed in something. I guess what I'm saying is I stayed in something I should have left to be accepted. And that was so terrible. So when I matured more emotionally and separated myself, I was so mad once I got out of it, and I disconnected myself from my family. And for 10 years, for a long time. And this whole program helped me heal from that. And where I thought I would go to them and they would not hold themselves accountable, and they did. And I went to church and didn't have the angst that I always have walking in my grandfather's church. I actually laughed the entire time and was able to focus on the positive people in there. And they really are happy to see me now, because I'm really realizing everyone's human, and they were in their own bubble at the time too. So I see things with new eyes because I healed from the trauma, and I can walk in, and I'm telling you, the weight's lifted. I'm taking my mom on a cruise. I'm giving it to her Sunday for Mother's Day. My papa came to have dinner with me downtown. So here in Savannah, my son had a cocktail in front of him, which made me a nervous wreck, but he didn't say anything. So it's just all this stuff is, sometimes we make it worse in our own head by trying to protect ourselves from this past trauma. So I actually was making it worse, where I was just trying to protect that young girl who went through all this crap so early. And so I honor her. And I think, and just leading into that, your book list, one of the authors on there is Gabrielle Bernstein. And I was able to reconnect with a spiritual side. And I'm telling you that I think that was that was the most healing thing out of the whole program. I stumbled upon your book list and was like, okay, I've finished the program, but I still need to heal. And so I printed out the book list and immediately went on Amazon and ordered. And then I knew I needed to slow down and breathe. If anyone can tell I'm high strung. I was like, reading makes me sit down and focus. So I ordered, seriously, they're sitting 10 books. I was like, I'm going to read them all. Every time I get whatever, I'm just going to read. And I sat down and read. And how crazy is it that was the first book that I picked up, and it's what healed me, because I think it's really important to be able to trust a higher power and to give. So pretty much anything. And I really recommend Morgan has a couple of Gabrielle Bernstein books. If you do have any weird church stuff or religious stuff. It connects you with spirituality. It doesn't matter what it is.
Michelle, thank you so much. You've said so many important things, and I want to just acknowledge that we all have a relationship with spirituality, and sometimes the church experiences, the experiences with other humans, right? Who maybe
they're not all bad. I just had a bad thing.
Sure. They're not all bad. And sometimes there can be narratives though, such as putting the husband above yourself, etc. There can be narratives that are damaging. And I think it's so important to say, but what is my relationship to a higher power?
Exactly.
What is my relationship to spirituality that is separate from these imperfect humans on earth? Right. And the beautiful thing though, that you did the work in the program, you healed yourself enough to have the capacity. Because I always think about this, you had the emotional capacity then, an overflowing cup to then come to your family and be present with your family and be in a non-reactive place and to show up with love. And now the fact that you're healing those family relationships, that gives me goosebumps. It's such a beautiful result of you healing yourself.
Yeah, it has been huge, and that's not why I even signed up. That's not what it was about. So, and I said this, I went back through and did the program again, and every different, each time I do it, I see something, something else is revealed and healed, every time. So it's not, nothing in life. I teach this in business all the time because I mentor, the women that sign up to that partner with my company. I say it all the time. It's there is no magic wand. There's no get rich quick scheme. There's none of that. It's the same with self work.
Yeah.
You have to wake up for yourself. every day. And that's why I like the morning alignment. And I feel like I miss it if I rush it or, don't get to do it. I really miss it.
It's one of those practices. I mean, I've been doing it now for over 5 years and I still do it daily. And it's just one of those things that has become part of my day-to-day routine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just ingrained in what I do. And the wild thing, which I know you will experience and probably already have, is where you start looking at the future vision and it's like, oh, that's my life now.
It already
is my life now.
It's already happened. It's already happened. And that's what actually, when I knew I was coming on the podcast, that's what I did at breakfast this morning. I just kind of went back and I couldn't stop smiling while I was eating breakfast, because there were quite a few, there's still more work to be done, but it's so important to write it down. It's so important.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun work. It's fun to go back and read it. It really is. Once you cross over to a point and that path opens, like it really is fun.
Yes.
It really is fun.
I agree.
Is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you're in that chapter and you're in just a beautiful new chapter in your life. I want to ask you, because I feel like you'll have a good word for people on this. Like, if there is a woman who's listening who just feels so much shame and she just feels like, oh, this worked for Michelle, but she's so great. And I just think I'm too broken. There's too much that's happened to me. It's not going to work for me. I'm too scared to do this. I can't do it. Like, what would you say to that woman who's scared or thinks that it won't work for her?
I say, face that shame, figure out where that shame originated from and release it, and really do the work. And every time you think something, and I had to do this, I did this, I'm telling you, I talked bad about myself without realizing it often. Replace it. Write down things, who you want to be or who you know that you are. The affirmations work. Replace every shameful thought with a positive thought, and that shame will slowly disappear. But you got to do the work to clean it up. You just have to, or it's sneaky like dust. You got to clean it up. It trickles in and you don't notice it until it's all there. I just do the work and clean it up, and that shame will end up being, and that shame will end up being a beautiful thing. You'll look back and smile at it. I promise you will look back and kind of chuckle at those emotions. It's authentically like what happened to me. This morning I looked back, even getting prepared for this, and was like, some of my older journals are just full of shame. I just didn't notice it was shame. You just have to know, tap into what your true self. It's there. It's there.
That's so beautiful, because it makes me think about like just the power of healing and evolving and stepping into who you really are, coming home to your true self, and then almost getting to this place where you don't recognize those earlier versions of you. And you do have that little like chuckle or like, wow, that was what I used to believe. Right. And it's so powerful to be in a place where you have so much compassion for that earlier version of you. And you just know that you were believing lies. You were operating out of old belief systems that weren't true and doing the best that you could. And then to look back and just say, thank you that now I'm operating in truth and reality and knowing that I'm enough and I've always been enough. And it's just, it's a beautiful journey.
And you said one part during the program that really resonated with me that just popped up in my head. One of the exercises was, how do I feel right now? How does this make me feel? Like being more curious about how I feel in a moment. And I really paid attention to my body and what my body was doing during that feeling. And I think I was really comfortable with chaos for a while. And when I literally took a step back and paid attention, like, wow, how does this person make me feel right now? My ex tried to pop back in a few times, and I And I knew it was going nowhere. Again, confusion. And I took a step back and was like, I feel confused and I feel not great. Like this doesn't feel, it feels anxious, but I think I'd gotten so used to that chaos. I wanted to control it and fix it and create, none of that is normal. Let it go. And I think that was a really good exercise, was to stop and feel that feeling.
I love that you brought that up. It's definitely that power of self-trust and learning to tune inwards, right? And I think that's related to our spiritual life as well. I know we talk about spirituality, but that pause and learning to tune inward and trust your inner knowing, that's a spiritual experience. And it's so empowering when you do build the habit of doing that, like you're talking about. And then it's right. It's a habit, and it's not like you ever need a playbook or you need the exact texting sequence to get the man. Like, forget all that, right? Like
throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. Yeah. When you have that inner knowing and that self-trust, you're unstoppable and you just automatically attract.
I promise you, you're unstoppable. Yeah. And it creeps back in. I'm telling you, it's like a creepy thing. It creeps back in. I don't know why dust came to mind, but it's a creepy thing that makes a mess and you don't realize it's there till it's there. And then it's like, wham. So I think I just started to know, I noticed it more and more and more, the more I did the work and showed up for myself. And I do know that I'm in a beautiful place. I still will have those moments, and I get louder with the good stuff and it quiets the bad stuff.
I love that. It's just that lifelong commitment to always coming back to the truth and coming back to your true self, coming back to your highest and best, and you're securely attached. No, I love what you share.
You're my interpreter. What I'm trying to say.
No,
but thank you for that. I really wanted to come on here, and I just really love women so much. I am a girl's girl. I really am. And I was so excited to get on here for that reason, because being on the Facebook group, I'm on the open one that
successful women, great relationships. Yep.
And I sometimes have to take a step back because I just want to hug everyone. I'll absorb some of the because I want to help, and I've been there. I guess I can feel it. I've been there, but I am a girl's girl, and I love getting on there. You just know you're not alone. And if you can tap into the positive on there, it will really help you. It's a really great group of women on both pages.
Yes. We love having you in our Empowered Secure Love community now that we have our membership, and you get to be part of the community. And then you're also talking about our public group, the Successful Women Great Relationships group. And that group is growing. It's like, we're almost at 4,000 people in there. And it's amazing vulnerability in that group.
They need to transfer on over and do the program.
Do the program.
I listened to your podcast for a while. I started your book, and then on Valentine's Day, I was like, I'm just doing it. I'm just going to do the program, and I don't regret it one bit. And I chose to stay on it because Savannah, and I told Carrie this, what's Carrie's position? She's wonderful.
She's our program advisor. So she helps women.
I love her.
She is great.
She's amazing. From the first day I talked to her, and we follow each other on social media. But it's really cool for me because my business is big in Savannah, and my breakup was kind of public, which I didn't go into that because both of us have successful businesses here. It was really cool for me to have friends outside of this city, and I really felt like I had friends on there, and I could go in. It was something positive to take my mind off of the fake lives on social media. It was cool to go in and be like, oh, this is real. Other women have these issues. Here we are, and I'm normal. And
I'm so glad you touched on that, just the community piece. And I think that's so powerful when you know, like, hey, there's other women who are doing this work alongside me. We're in it together.
Exactly.
And just getting to see the vulnerable shares and the progress. And
exactly.
The community piece is huge. Yeah.
Because again, that's a whole nother discussion, but get off social media. If you're in a dark place, stop looking at other people's lives. I put a harsh hold on that. And instead I would go to the E.S.L page and post like my favorite song or my meditation music or a book or whatever, to hopefully uplift someone else. And I would get on the E.S.L page instead of rolling through all the many social media pages everyone has these days. And I made myself a promise. I would post on there for business, but I would get off of looking at other pages.
I'm glad you brought that up. Like I do, sometimes I talk about the cocoon when you're healing. Sometimes you really do need your energy to just be going inwards and to be going towards positivity and healing and rewiring your brain. And the social media inputs can be so toxic, especially if you're prone to comparison. It can just be so awful for your brain and your emotional health. So I'm glad you pointed that out. And yeah, I think having the Empowered, Secure, Love community in the program helps you kind of replace that social connection with something that's actually uplifting. Yeah.
That and read. That's what I replaced it with.
Yes. I love that you're a reader. You know, I'm the same.
I wasn't before.
Well, you are now.
I am now, and I won't stop. So if anyone's out there, it's like, I don't really like reading. I promise you will. It's the form. I couldn't shut my brain off to meditate for a hot minute. So I put a book in front of my face and it helped.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're so much fun to speak with. You uplift so many people in your life. I know that people are going to get a ton of value out of this conversation. I really appreciate you being vulnerable, talking about your journey. One thing I do want to make sure we do is let people know how to connect with you. Yeah, so please. How can they find you?
So my Instagram is Beet Goes On Podcast, and it's spelled beet like the root vegetable because my company is called Beettan. It's made from beets, the root vegetable. Beet Goes On Podcast, and that's my personal page too. So it's not even a business page. The podcast is fun for me. I pretty much authentically myself. It's given me a voice through this whole process. So please find me on there. And then my business is beettan.com. You can find all the ways on my website how to find me on all the many things that I do in life. But yeah, I'd love if anyone wants to reach out, please do.
I love it so much. And Michelle, I just want to say, I feel so honored to have been able to witness your healing journey and support you in it. And I know you said it's your 40th birthday tomorrow. And
that was not planned either. Like I was like, I'm doing.
No.
I thought it was so cool. Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
Before.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure you know how just beautiful your heart is and your spirit is, and just how giving you are. And I just really hope that you celebrate you and that you just have so much gratitude for all the work you've done. Like you're such an incredible gift, and I'm so grateful that the program brought us together. So
same, and I'm staying in it. It's been wonderful. You're doing such good work, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. It's life-changing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, everyone, we appreciate you being here and being part of our community. And I know Michelle and I both are wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. Thanks again, Michelle.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. I know it was a little bit different, a little mix up, which I'm going to do from time to time. I'm loving this podcast world and I'm loving the people that I'm meeting. So thanks for letting me switch it up, and I'll see you next week.